All right. Welcome to our second live episode. Hello, fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight. And our second live broadcast, like I said, we're hosted on StreamYard right now. I'm John Nolan, the Prep Baseball Virginia DC Northern Virginia Scouting Director. Joining me is the Virginia DC Scouting Director, Jason Burton. Just so you guys can start planning ahead, I know I'm going to say this and then say it's not for next Sunday, but generally speaking, this is going to be our normal time slot going forward, 6 p.m. on Sundays as we go through the high school season. Now, that all being said, as you can undoubtedly have noticed at this point in time, we have a crowded room today as we're joined by a trio of special guests for today's episode. So first off, we have Cash McDade, a 2025 catcher from Gonzaga College High School in Washington, D.C. He is a Baylor commit. Also with us, we have Trey Campos, a 2025 outfielder, right-handed pitcher from Lansdowne High School in Virginia Beach. He's a James Madison commit. And TJ Woodson, 2025 shortstop from Hanover High School, which is just outside of Richmond for those of you who all don't know it. He is also a Baylor commit, so we got a pair of Baylor Bears here. So let me get everyone kind of roped in here a little bit. Bert, do you want to go ahead and get us rolling here?
Sure. First question, Cash, Gonzaga, new head coach, Coach Ladd. I know we talked a little bit off air, but just how are things looking this year with practice starting and I guess on the field tomorrow?
Yeah, we lost a lot of guys last year. It was around 14, 15, lots of seniors, but we still have got a great core group of guys that we like to call the nucleus, and we're still solid in the field. Pitching is a little scarce this year, but we're still going to be looking good.
Sounds like pretty strong things going on there. You guys finished second in the WCAC last year, if I remember St. John's winning the series. Let's go to Trey. Trey, that Lansdowne club, you guys have a lot of positional talent this year. We were talking a little bit about that before. How is the Eagles this year going to be different than last year's team?
I think it's not going to be very much different. We only lost two starting pitchers, and they were seniors. And so the rest of the group is juniors, sophomores. So we look good, positional wise, pitcher wise. So yeah.
All right, Bert, you want the next one here?
Sure. TJ, you're a large part of two state championships the past 2 years as a freshman towards the end of the year, starting at shortstop, starting the state championship game at short. Your freshman year, and obviously full-time guy last year, which both of those must be nice, good, big accomplishments. Not too many guys get a chance to do that. But how are the Hawks looking this spring after a lot of turnover the past?
We're looking really solid this year. We're definitely on the younger side, but on the mound, we got the young talent that we have for the sophomores, and Evan Nix coming back, who should be our anchor in the staff. And then defensively, we'll be solid as usual. That's usually one of our stronger parts. And hitting, we're developing. So I feel like we're going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, in my experience, Coach Kane usually gets you guys straightened out defensively. All right, so now that we got everyone a little warmed up here, the reason we have everyone together, we have these three here to discuss the Prep Baseball Future Games, which take place every year at Lake Point in Cartersville, Georgia. Cash, Trey, and TJ were participants last year as members of Team Mid-Atlantic, which was made up of the best uncommitted 2025s in Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, and D.C. We've put some explainer stuff out in the last couple of days or in the last week too. But in case you aren't completely aware or familiar with the Future Games, Bert, why don't you give us a quick rundown, what takes place, who goes, all of that other good stuff.
So previous years, it was 16U, which the teams could be a combination of 15 and 16. So I guess you would say at this point in time, current freshmen and sophomores. At that point in the year, rising juniors and rising sophomores. So 16U, 14U, and 13U. There have been a lot of changes this year, one of them being instead of Team Mid-Atlantic, we will have Team Virginia. And then Maryland and Delaware will slide to Team Maryland. So that'll be a big adjustment. In addition to that, we will carry 17U, 16U, and 14U. So we're adding the what are current 2025s, and everyone at the event is uncommitted. It is the largest. I think these guys can kind of back me up on that. It is the largest recruiting event in the country, bar none, hands down, not close. What takes place? The older players go through a workout, and then they play basically three, pool play, round robin games, however you want to call it. And then the younger group, the 14Us, those guys play. They do a workout, and then they pool play, and then they go into bracket play during the weekend.
All right, so that's the Future Games. Should be end of July. For those of you looking for calendar dates, usually it's the last Tuesday in July is when it starts. So, Cash, you lit up that workout day last year. So that workout day at the beginning of the event on Wednesday, your pop time, your catch or velo were near the top of the entire event. Why don't you walk us through what all happens on that first day?
From the second you get there and you go into the gym to do the what's it called?
Visual edge.
Yeah, the visual edge.
Visual edge. Yeah.
We've all done visual edge before since you had to qualify for the event. So that was not the part that was most stressful. You first get to the complex and you get all your gear, walk up to the field, and this place is just swarmed with coaches and kids everywhere walking around. And then from there you go. We went into we went straight into BP, waiting around, had us do the lip syncing to Miley Cyrus there to loosen us up. That's a memorable one. Watch Jet hit balls really hard in BP, and then lock it in for my own. And from there we went to the whole pop times, velo. They got us pretty good there. It's pretty sorry.
Dude, Cash, you're good. It's fine.
A little bit. But yeah, just had to lock it in and do what we all know we can do. It's just doing it on the big stage in front of people that are important. So good. It was all good.
All right, Trey, moving on to you. You and high school teammate Cal Flora, you were there together. What was your biggest takeaway from your experience? You there, Trey?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right.
I didn't know you finished. I thought, okay, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. What was your biggest takeaway from your experience at Future Games?
My biggest takeaway was probably playing with so many players, at the high level there in front of all those coaches, making sure performing in front of all that, all the coaches and stuff. So what I took hold up. Just staying, competitive against, kids, at the level and in front of the coaches, having to perform in that environment is important. And to get, looked at, you have to perform. And with all, the nerves and all that in front of the coaches, you still got to stay locked in.
All right. TJ, let's get you involved here. Your dad was a Division I head baseball coach. You've been pretty highly touted prospect for a while. All three of you have, but TJ, definitely not a secret. How did the Future Games change your recruitment process?
I would say it changed the recruiting process for me it showed all my little different aspects of my game, like the defense more, and then the base running definitely, and all that. The coaches were able to see the different parts of it, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's important. Obviously from our side, we push the social media piece on as many players as we possibly can throughout the high school season and showcase and workouts and all those things. But sometimes it is tough. I can speak specifically to TJ because, we've seen TJ since he was at, Rocket and like, we gave him like an small adult medium. It looked like a nightgown. But we would always talk about his instincts and IQ and some of those things later. But just coaches being able to see that firsthand, that our West Coast coaches or coaches from down south, guys who maybe haven't had a chance to see him in person, to be able to do that is huge, and that's why it's such a big event, because every single coach, every single high major program in the country is there. Cash, coming back to you. Obviously, your pop times and all of that stuff in the workout were like crazy. But the biggest thing is it carried over in game. You get all the critics on Twitter and everywhere else that say, oh, well, it's just a showcase arm, or, it's Pop's whatever in a showcase and he's cheating, or this, that, and the other. Yours carries over in game. It always has. And your bat really played well too. How did your in-game performance affect your recruitment?
It was really the first time that college coaches got to see my tools and showcases carry over in game, because I've always been able to put up a good pop time or a good catcher velo or good BP numbers, but I've never really been able to prove my skill in game in front of the coaches when it really matters. And I was able to do that in front of everybody that was watching, which was an insane amount of people. Like, battling the nerves and all the other things that go into it is just good to be able to barrel up balls in game when I hadn't seen that good of pitching in a while, and be able to throw a bunch of guys out when I'd been called this a showcase arm for the last few months was a good change for me.
And now Nolan, hold on, Nolan, before you move on.
You're good. Go for it.
Cash, I got one more question for you. More nerves at Future Games or on the podcast? Which one we got?
Probably on the podcast. I'm really bad at public speaking.
No, you're fine, man. It's a new environment. But yeah, the tools at Future Games were off the charts.
And Cash, I would add that if anybody called you just a showcase arm, you killed that really quickly down there. I mean, you threw out an absurd number of runners. I'm legit not kidding. It was like 5 or 6 out of 8 over the course of a couple of games. Trey, you were down there as a two-way player. So how did your experience and success as a two-way player impact your recruitment, ultimately landing you with that commitment to James Madison?
It helped a lot with pitching in game. I think it was game 3 against California with Cash. We did good. He threw a couple guys out, had a couple strikeouts. Then having the outfield showcase ability in the workout on the day 1, showed a 60 time outfield velo and hit on BP. And I got a lot of calls, with coaches liking my two-way ability. So I'm glad I was able to showcase that at Future Games.
Now, Trey, obviously I saw a tweet a little while ago from you getting ready. I think last big ramp up type of bullpen. How has the slider continued to evolve? It was already a pretty high end pitch. How has that continued to evolve?
It's getting even better. I've been working with Backyard Baseball Lab, and it's great. The spin rate's been, getting up there even more, and just working on the locations, make sure I'm hitting, the outside corner and all that.
All right. Now, TJ, how would you rate the level of competition that you played against down there?
Oh, I would definitely say, it's the highest I've probably ever played against. And just coming from all the best players in each state that are uncommitted, it's definitely a harder competition to face for sure.
And I think the important thing is all of you guys play for, higher end teams and organizations, and play at a high level, tournaments and all that stuff. But I think everybody knows in 2024, you go to a tournament, it might have, 300 or 400 teams, but there might only be 30, 40 really good teams. just because talent pools and talent and rosters and stuff like that can get watered down at times, and depending on what pool you're put in and all those things. So, I mean, I think, I would definitely have to say, for what kind of piggybacking on what TJ said is like, you'll see just as talented players everywhere, but it's the consistency of the talent that you see. It's every single at bat you're facing one of the best uncommitted arms, that you've seen. And it's the hitters from top to bottom in the lineup. I mean, because Jet was number like 20 something or whatever, like he was the last hitter in our lineup. And what's that like 13 in the lineup or 14 in the lineup, and he comes up and goes like 105 off the center field fence in his first at bat. So yeah, it's just the consistency of the talent that you're going to face.
And when everyone says Jet, by the way, we're talking about Jet Bristow, who had the top exit velocity coming off of a monster national championship the week before, where he hit a bunch of bolts, and then he just carried it right over into the future games onto this team. So, Cash, what advice would you offer to uncommitted players going into their junior summer? You guys had this weird thing where coaches could talk to you, they could talk to you, and then last April we had the rule change, and then they couldn't until August 1st. So nominally this year's 2026 will have had very limited contact with coaches. So what advice would you have for those uncommitted players in this new era of recruiting?
Go to Futures Games. That's my number one. Was I didn't have that much experience talking to coaches before the rule change, and that summer, and particularly that event, changed everything for me. You just got to get in front of the right people at the right times. Futures Games is right before August 1st, right before they can start talking to you. So you're fresh in their minds. However you played, places that like you, they're going to reach out immediately. And you just got to make sure you're in the right places all summer and all spring, and make sure that you're showing off your best.
Yeah, because they're absolutely always watching, and man, oh man, do they hustle to pounce on August 1st. Trey, what were your takeaways from the Lake Point facility?
With the coaches and all of that?
A little bit that, the facility, just anything in general that you were thinking about with regards to that and other experiences that you guys have had too.
So let's see. Let me think. I already talked about the competition. I guess after the fact of the event with the coaching and all that, take away, it was a lot talking to all the coaches, having to speak to, all the coaches and scouts. I'm not very good at like speaking and all that, but they ask you, questions, and you got to make sure you're ready for those calls and ready to perform at Futures Games. And I believe you have to go to like the top prospect games and state games to get looked at, to get selected to the Future Games. So
now, Trey, you had been down there for a week before Future Games because you were down there for 17U National Championship. Like, what are your thoughts just on the facility and the site itself?
Oh, it's nice. The turf, everything. The big facility is nice. The hotel's near it. It's amazing. And we had a night game there. That was fun, playing under the lights. And then a week, after I'm there for another week for Future Games. So it was fun.
Now I'm pretty sure I was at that night game. You came in relief. Don't quote me. I want to say maybe it was a team out of like Jersey.
Yeah.
And that game was pretty high intensity, if I remember.
Yeah, it was pretty packed.
A whole lot of people there. It was a little bit chippy. You came in to pitch and made some big pitches. Slider looked really good that night and got me kind of pumped up because I knew, in 3 or 4 days later you were going to be throwing for Team Mid-Atlantic. So, and y'all see that they just resurfed there. I don't know if y'all saw pictures of that, but it's pretty legit. All right, TJ. We talked earlier a little bit about your IQ and things like that. What would you give credit to in terms of your instincts and IQ? Like, there's plenty of people who play the game for a very long time or consistently every single day or go work at it every single day and just don't have some of those instincts and an IQ that you have shown in the infield. What would you give some of that credit to?
Definitely my dad, and then like being around. I was always around like his teams when he was coaching. Just being around that and being around baseball my whole life. It's my IQ and instincts have always gotten better and better, and I feel like that's what has helped definitely in that part of my game.
And just kind of like I know we talked earlier, like you were when you were, especially when you were younger, you were that undersized little guy, but you just played the game. Do you think that just kind of kept you, I don't want to say interested, but like at the top end of the talent that you played with, because you think your instincts and IQ and being around the game and being able to kind of slow things down kind of kept you at the top and allowed you to catch up body wise?
Yeah, definitely, because I was always like the weaker guy, smaller guy who didn't really like couldn't hit the ball as far, couldn't throw as hard, but it's just the instincts like that made my game elevate above.
Awesome. All right. This is a question for all three of you, and I want you to be honest. We're going to go in the same order. We'll go Cash, then Trey, then finally TJ. And again, y'all touched on it a little bit. And if you have anything to add, or whatever, but I want you to be 100% honest. Is there any other event or anything that you have been to that can compare to Future Games and its impact on player recruitment? Cash, we'll go with you.
Out of like all the calls and texts I got, there are so many that said, I saw you at Futures Games, or coaches that started off the phone call, oh, I saw you at Futures Games. I like this, this, and this. It's just remarkable. Like, I did not have anybody else talk about a specific event that they saw me at besides Futures Games, and they were everywhere. You could just see it. If you look back at any of our games, you can see the coach with the clipboards, with the stopwatches. It's ridiculous. You walk around, like I was walking to the bathroom and I ran into a few head coaches that I recognized, and it's unreal. There's nothing like it.
Trey?
I agree with him. I mean, there was a lot of scouts too at the Lake Point tournament I was at before, the week before, but all the calls I got were from the Future Games, where they saw me at Future Games and they texted me about it. They played it, complimented me and wanted to, talk. So,
TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree. It's not even close. The Futures Game is by far the best I've ever been to. Just getting all the phone calls from everyone, it's mainly because of the Futures Games. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
And, I know like everybody's kind of on their different path and different, place on their path. In some capacity, coaches, knew about you guys or were, I guess, recruiting you up until that, timeline of whatever Nolan said, like April 1 or something like that, Nolan.
It was like the end, I thought, but yeah, it was in April sometime. It all runs together during the high school season.
So, I mean, it wasn't, for the most part, guys didn't go in and just were completely unknown players to being recruited. But I think everybody would agree, because of the competition that you face and stuff like that, that's kind of the tipping point in terms of like, hey, we want to offer this kid this much money, or this school's in, they were, just following before or whatever it is. That's kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. Nolan?
Yeah, no, for sure. And then one thing I will add back to the competition thing. I know this is a tough thing, and I'm literally having been at a game today, as we're sitting here. But one thing that I know coaches have a tough time evaluating players, especially at the level that you guys are at, is like, if you're hitters, we need to see you against a representative arm. Watching you throw against, some kid who can barely throw 75 is not going to be helpful. And that is absolutely not the case. Future Games, they've got that stuff covered. It is representative competition at all times, gives coaches a great look at what you're going to be able to do when you get to those schools. So final set of questions. We're going to bounce around here. Same as we've been doing. Cash first, then Trey, then TJ. These are some rapid fire questions. Could be some of them completely on baseball related, some of them baseball related. So let's go ahead and just ping pong around here real fast. Cash, one area you want to improve on or are working to get better at, what is that?
Being able to pull the ball in game, pull for power in game.
All right, so you're hoping that we get to put a video of you pimping a home run out this year. Got it.
That'd be nice, yeah.
All right, Trey, toughest hitter you faced while you were on the mound. So toughest hitter that you've pitched against.
And future games or just in general?
Just in general, toughest all around.
I guess I'll say I don't even know his name, but I know when I pitched against California, the whole team, they had a couple hits off of me. I think those were the best hitters that I pitched against. They were fouling off balls, fouling off, my slider and stuff. So those were the hardest hitters.
Gotcha. Yeah, California kids can do it. TJ, going to you, best arm that you have faced while being in the box, and you don't have to say that it was any of my dad's Smithfield kids.
I would have to just say Noah Yoder. I mean, it's his fastball is electric, and he's got a big breaker. It's hard for sure.
All right, Cash, off the baseball world, favorite movie or TV show?
Probably Shawshank Redemption. I'm watching that a lot.
Cash,
I applaud that choice right there.
I just watched that for the first time the other day. Phenomenal.
Missing out.
That was good.
It's a strong choice right there. I was not expecting that, and I really appreciate it, though. Trey, how about this? Best fast food or in-between games meal on one of these long tournament weekends?
Either Chick-fil-A or a tropical smoothie.
Okay. TJ, we'll make it a little more formal for you. Sit-down restaurant.
I would have to say probably Outback.
Oh, that's a good one.
Outback's a good play there, and it's around a lot of places.
TJ, you should have gone with PBR right there at you. Phenomenal, by the way.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite spots. And Trey, what's the go-to meal at Chick-fil-A? You just pretty original, classic guy, or what?
Well, lately I've been just getting 2 chicken sandwiches and then a water. That's it. And then Chick-fil-A sauce, always.
So you like Lake Point because Chick-fil-A is right beside.
Yeah.
I remember that pizza place down at Lake Point that's around the corner being pretty good, right?
Yeah. Can't think of the name of it. Right across the street.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it right now. One more around the room real fast here, because this is a thing we did last year when we were interviewing players during the high school season. When you're at a professional baseball game, either minors or majors, what's your favorite ballpark snack? Your go-to, you have to get it. Mine's probably popcorn, to be honest with you. Cash, what is yours?
Definitely soft pretzel. Go-to.
Cheese sauce or mustard with that pretzel?
Neither.
Oh, okay. All right. Trey, ballpark snack?
Loaded fries. With cheese on it and bacon.
Outstanding. Now I'm getting hungry. TJ?
Mine would have to be nachos.
Nachos is a strong choice. Burton, what's yours?
At a game?
Yeah.
It's too expensive. Don't eat at a game.
I do remember asking that question to Bryce Eldridge last year and his mom walking in and being like, you made me miss 3 home runs trying to get the chili dog at Nats Park one time.
Well, the greatest part about it was I'm pretty sure I was at a game like a week or so later, and she came up. I'm pretty sure it was in. She was not aware that it was live. Or that it was, she thought like you were just like taking notes. She didn't realize it was a video. So she was in the background giving like her tidbits to some of the answers. But I see Andrew Callaway commented in here from Twitter. Former Future Games guy. It's been a couple years. Left-handed arm out of Delaware, I believe, Maryland, Delaware. So yeah, Andrew, I hope everything's going well.
All right, well, guys, I think that's about all we've got for you. We thank you very much for joining us this evening. Just building off of this, we have announced our summer event slate and posted the Summer State Games, which is our biggest event in that path to the road to Lake Point, which you guys mentioned you've got to do either state games or top prospect games at some point this summer, just for us to get one last final set of metrics in late June before we lock in those teams. Go ahead, Bert.
And I was going to say what's kind of fun about this, these three is each of them came to a different event last summer. Cash was at Mid-Atlantic Trials at PBI the day after the Vista State Tournament. I think this summer it is going to be May 19th, and it is so same weekend, same place. So that is a qualifier. And then next was Mid-Atlantic State or Summer State Games, Virginia Summer State Games. TJ was there for that one. That was and that gets the invites actually get sent out here shortly at 8:00. So if you haven't gotten your request in, you need to do that because that is going to sell out pretty quick. And then Trey, I know Trey was at Diamond Nation that week, so he couldn't make that one. So he came to Top Prospect Games the next week at ODU. So you have three chances to qualify for Future Games.
Yep, and we will be in 3 different parts of the state. That Mid-Atlantic Games or the Mid-Atlantic Trials that he was mentioning will be at Paul VI up here in Northern Virginia, where I was earlier today. The state games will be moving from Fred Nats Stadium to the double fields down at Iron Bridge Academy this year, and then we back down in the Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Norfolk area for the Top Prospect Games. So those events are out there. And then, like Jason said, first round of state games invites are going out at 8 p.m. tonight. Make sure you get your requests in. And also, if you receive an invite, please make sure you register quickly for those. We will be sending out more invites later on. Also, if you're 28 or a 2029, we do have one more preseason event coming up next Sunday, which is actually going to potentially mess with our ability to do this right at 6:00. I think we're going to pre-record and post it at 6:00 next Sunday. We will be at that event in Nova. There are still spots available. Rising Stars Trials. Next thing for us will be a big one here. We're really excited about this. Next Saturday, March 2nd, is the first weekend of our Prep Baseball Virginia first pitch scrimmages in the Richmond area. So we'll have plenty of coverage of that. Holding out hope that the weather continues to look the way it is right now. Knock on wood, although I probably just ruined that. Lastly, guys, high school season previews are rolling this week. We've broken down all of this VHSL classes 1 through 5 so far. Class 6 will run this week. And then starting tomorrow, preseason Power 25 starts getting revealed. We'll do 3 schools per day this week and then 2 per school in the top 10 next week. So make sure you guys are checking for that. Plenty of other things on the website. We are your home for prep baseball in Virginia and DC. And so with that all said, I thank all of you again for joining us this evening. Wish you guys good luck as the seasons go on, and we'll be out and we'll see you out there.